Welcome back to Open Exchange. Integrated reporting is something that the dinosaurs of a decade or so ago would never have heard of. Financial results would come out and you'd get headline earnings per share and revenue, and they'd talk just about money. But it's all different now. In the Joburg studio of Open Exchange is Charles Tilley, the Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. Charles, good morning. What is integrated reporting?
Well, integrated reporting is really, I think, two things. It's firstly about better reporting. I think financial reporting is not enough. And secondly, it's actually about better business. Business needs to think about what it takes, what it gives, and the value that it ultimately provides to its investors and other stakeholders.
Is it important for the company itself, or is it important for investors, or do the companies themselves actually just pay lip service to the regulators? In other words, they say, yes, we understand that we can't just give our financial results and we have to talk about other things, but we don't really believe it. All we really believe in is the numbers.
Well, let's look at what's happened over the last 30 years or so. If we go back about that time, if you look at the Fortune 500, at that time around 80% of the value of a company was represented by the value on its balance sheet, the net assets of its balance sheet. Today, that figure is under 20% and going down. So there is a huge amount of value which is represented by its people, its brands, technology, which is not recorded on the balance sheet. And therefore, the importance of reporting the whole business, how the business is today, how it's making money, how it's creating value, what are the opportunities and risks, and therefore what the opportunities for value creation are into the future, is absolutely crucial to the investor and how they actually allocate their resources to business. So it's not about just sticking to the financials. Of course, the long-term cash flows are important, but it's actually thinking about how is this organization going to be around in the long term. And it's for that reason that you then go to, why is this good in terms of better management? We at CIMA ran a survey when we launched our joint venture with the AICPA, which is the American Institute of Certified Professional Accountants, last year. And at that time, one of the 4 top issues for business was actually how do they join the dots, how do they run their businesses on an integrated basis. That's one of their big challenges. And another one was how do they actually value and take decisions in regard to the non-financial issues that they face. So these are things that business is looking to address, and integrated thinking, supporting integrated reporting is absolutely crucial to that.
Is it also the case that you can sort of break it down very simply and use examples, for example, for the gold mining industry? A gold mining company digs gold out the ground and always has done, and has made money doing so up until a few years ago anyway, but it would never report upon the way its workers are housed and that sort of thing. Is it the case that today it has to be reported upon, it has to be accounted for, and if it doesn't, then certain investors might say, well, this is not a company I want to do business with?
I think the world has changed so substantially in terms of areas such as transparency and regulation. So the example of the gold mining industry, you're absolutely right, it's taking gold out of the ground. What is the long-term sustainability? What is the availability of that gold going forward into the future? But I think it's being more responsible to society generally. Is this a good, well-run business which has an eye to the future? If you look at, because of the transparency, and if you look at the way the world is operating today, then customers and other stakeholders want to know that businesses are, in a trite term, but good corporate citizens. If you look at, for instance, in the UK, Starbucks was considered not to be paying appropriate levels of taxation on the huge revenues it was creating in the UK, and as a result, the customers actually walked away. The board needs to think about those things. The board needs to think about, is it looking after its customers effectively in the financial services industry? Is it, there's a huge numbers of mis-selling scandals which have led to huge fines and so forth. So it's really, integrated reporting is very much from a business perspective, thinking about the external environment. What are the resources that you need to run your company? In integrated reporting, we think of those in the terms of capital, and they're not just the environmental resources and environmental capital, but they're your social capital, they're your infrastructure capital, and so forth. And all of those things need to be thought about, and how they're shepherded and looked after in terms of driving forward the long-term success of your organisation, and making sure that you really are shepherding those resources so that they will be available to you and you have a long-term successful business. Just to give you an example,
Charles, very finally, sorry, Charles, we'll just have to cut in there because we've only got a minute or so left. But I think what is very good news, which has become apparent over the last few years, is that South African companies are probably world leaders in integrated reporting. Yes,
and that is excellent news. I mean, it is mandatory here, and there was a report out earlier this year by Ernst & Young into the reporting of the top 100 companies over here, and that report indicated some really good progress. There was one area which they were particularly concerned about, which was a lack of board commitment to the actual reports themselves. There were some companies who produced the report but didn't say what the role of the board was. It's very important that the board is absolutely involved in the producing of those integrated reports and signing off on those reports. But yes, a very, very good starting point, and Professor Mervyn King here has done terrific work in developing King 3 and in particular integrated reporting.
Charles, thanks very much for your time this morning. That's Charles Tilley, Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, which is of course CIMA. We're going to take